The massive holographic projection dominated the central chamber of the orbital command center, its crimson glow casting long shadows across the faces of Earth's unified military leadership. Colonel Mira Santos stood motionless, her eyes fixed on the alien figure, whose grotesque features seemed even more menacing when magnified to such proportions. High Commander Zareth Vok of the Galactic Council spoke with the practiced condescension of a being accustomed to obedience. "Your species has 48 hours to submit to Council authority." Zareth Vok's translated voice reverberated through the chamber. "Surrender your planetary defense systems and dismantle your orbital weapons platforms. Resistance will result in immediate planetary pacification." Behind the aliens' transmission, tactical displays showed the approaching Council Dreadnought fleet, 15 capital ships entering the Saturn defense perimeter, their massive forms dwarfing Earth's largest vessels. "They're not leaving room for negotiation," Mira muttered, her dark eyes reflecting the red emergency lights that had automatically activated throughout the station. Lieutenant General Leon Harper, standing beside her, clasped his hands behind his back. "Perhaps we should consider diplomatic channels. The Council represents over 200 species. We're outnumbered and outgunned." Mira turned to face him, her expression hardening. "And become their vassals? Another footnote in their galactic dominion?" Before Harper could respond, the main display shifted to a direct feed from Earth. The United Earth Defense Forces Emergency Council had convened in Geneva. Faces of military and civilian leaders from every continent filled the screen, their expressions ranging from grim determination to barely concealed panic. "Colonel Santos," the Secretary General addressed her, "you're our orbital defense strategist. What are our options?" Mira stepped forward, activating the command center's holographic interface with a gesture. Three-dimensional projections of Earth's defense systems materialized: orbital platforms, atmospheric countermeasures, and ground-based assets. "The Council expects submission or, at minimum, desperate defensive measures," she began, her voice steady despite the gravity of the situation. "What they don't expect is a coordinated offensive across all theaters." Murmurs rippled through both the physical room and the virtual assembly. "An attack? Against the Galactic Council?" Harper's incredulity was evident. "Their technology is centuries beyond ours." "Their individual technologies, yes," Mira conceded. "But they've never faced humanity in full defensive posture. We have something they don't: a unified planet that just spent the last decade building integrated defense systems." With another gesture, she brought up her tactical proposal. "I present Operation Phoenix, a three-pronged counterattack designed to force the Council to reconsider their ultimatum." The holographic display shifted to show three distinct battle plans, color-coded and annotated with technical specifications that would have been incomprehensible to civilian observers. Project Eclipse, a coordinated cyber assault on Council communication networks, targeting their command and control capabilities. She swiped to the next display. Project Aurora, orbital kinetic bombardment using our satellite network, reconfigured to deliver precision strikes against their advanced fleet. Another swipe. Project Valkyrie, stealth fighter squadrons deployed from our lunar base, equipped with experimental phase shift technology to bypass their defensive screens. The room fell silent as military leaders processed her audacious proposal. It wasn't just defensive. It was an all-out assault on the most powerful entity in the known galaxy. The Secretary General leaned forward, his face filling the main display. "Colonel, this is beyond risky. If we fail, we face not just defeat but potential extinction." "And if we surrender," Mira countered, "we become a footnote in galactic history, another species that bowed before being assimilated or marginalized." Lieutenant General Harper cleared his throat. "The Council's ultimatum gives us 48 hours. Perhaps we should use that time to strike first," Mira interrupted. "They expect submission, not counterattack. Our only advantage is surprise." A tense silence followed, broken, finally, by the Chinese defense minister. "The unified command structure we established was precisely for moments like this. I support Colonel Santos's proposal." One by one, other leaders voiced their support, though not without reservations. The Earth had only recently overcome centuries of division to establish the United Earth Defense Force. Now, that hard-won unity would face its ultimate test. "Very well," the Secretary General said gravely. "Operation Phoenix is authorized. Colonel Santos, you will coordinate from Orbital Command. May God help us all." As the transmission ended, Mira turned to face the command staff. "We have less than 24 hours to prepare. I want every system operational, every pilot ready, every defense grid at maximum capacity." "And if we fail?" Harper asked quietly. Mira's expression didn't waver. "Then we'll have died on our feet instead of living on our knees." The command center erupted into activity as officers rushed to their stations. Mira stepped to the central tactical display, where the incoming Council fleet was represented by 15 red markers steadily approaching Earth. "Begin Project Eclipse preparations," she ordered. "Contact Dr. Amina, head of AI development. I need Vega 2 operational immediately." In the depths of the Cheyenne Mountain Complex, Dr. Amina worked frantically at her console, surrounded by banks of quantum processors. The AI system designated Vega 2 was humanity's most advanced artificial intelligence, designed specifically for warfare in the digital domain. "You're asking me to deploy an untested system against alien technology we barely understand," she protested over the secure channel. "I'm asking you to give humanity a fighting chance," Mira replied. "Vega 2 was built for this, to adapt and evolve faster than any human operator could." Dr. Amina's fingers flew across the interface. "I can bring it online, but without proper safeguards." "We're past safeguards," Mira cut in. "The Council gives us 48 hours. I'm giving you 6. As the connection terminated, Mira turned her attention to the next phase. "Get me Lieutenant Rio Takeda on the lunar base." Moments later, the youthful face of the Valkyrie Squadron commander appeared on screen. Despite his rank, Takeda carried himself with the confidence of an ace pilot who had earned his position through skill rather than seniority. "Colonel," he greeted her with a crisp salute. "The Valkyries are ready." "Are they?" Mira challenged. "Your phase shift technology has only been tested in simulation?" Takeda's expression remained confident. "My pilots are the best Earth has. The technology works. We just need targets." "You'll have them soon enough," Mira promised. "Prepare for deployment in 18 hours." As the lunar base communication ended, Lieutenant General Harper approached. "The Security Council is concerned about civilian casualties. If we engage in orbital combat—" "I'm well aware of the risks," Mira said sharply. "Every kinetic strike from Project Aurora will be precisely calculated to avoid populated areas. But make no mistake, there will be casualties. The question is whether we're willing to accept some losses now or total subjugation later." Harper nodded grimly. "I'll inform them. But, Colonel, this plan relies on perfect coordination between systems that have never been fully integrated." "Then we'd better start integrating them," Mira replied. The next 12 hours passed in a blur of activity. Across Earth, military installations moved to full alert status. Civilian populations were not evacuated. That would have signaled Earth's intentions to the Council observers. But emergency services were quietly placed on standby. In orbit, satellites were subtly repositioned, their operational parameters altered to transform communication and observation platforms into weapons delivery systems. On the lunar base, Valkyrie pilots ran final simulations, preparing for humanity's first extraterrestrial combat mission. And deep within Cheyenne Mountain, Dr. Amina watched as Vega 2 came fully online, its neural networks expanding at an exponential rate as it absorbed every piece of data humanity had gathered about Council technology. 18 hours after the Council's ultimatum, Mira gathered her command staff for final briefing. "The Council expects us to either surrender or fortify," she explained, standing before the tactical display. "They don't expect us to strike first, and they certainly don't expect a coordinated attack across multiple domains." She highlighted the approaching Council fleet. Their dreadnoughts are now passing Mars orbit. Once they enter Earth's orbital space, Project Aurora will initiate. Simultaneously, Vega 2 will launch Project Eclipse, targeting their communication and navigation systems. "And the Valkyries?" asked Harper. "Lieutenant Takeda's squadron will deploy during the initial confusion, targeting the flagship's command and control centers." Mira's expression was grim, but determined. "We need to demonstrate that attacking Earth carries a prohibitive cost." As her officers dispersed to their stations, Harper remained behind. "I was wrong to doubt your strategy," he admitted. "But I worry that even if we succeed, we're initiating a war we cannot win in the long term." "We're not trying to win a war," Mira corrected him. "We're trying to prevent one. The Council needs to understand that Earth isn't just another conquest." 12 hours before the ultimatum's deadline, the Council made its first move. A swarm of automated drone ships detached from the main fleet, accelerating toward Earth. "They're testing our defenses," Mira observed, as the tactical display tracked their approach. "Standard Council procedure before invasion." "Should we engage?" asked her weapons officer. Mira considered for a moment. "No, let them come. We need to preserve the element of surprise." The drone ships entered Earth's upper atmosphere, their heat signatures triggering automated alerts across global defense networks. Earth's anti-air defenses remained silent, following Mira's orders, though ground commanders reported their troops were growing restless at the apparent inaction. "The Council will interpret our restraint as weakness or indecision," Harper noted. "Good," Mira replied. "The more overconfident they become, the more effective our counterstrike will be." 6 hours before the deadline, Mira received confirmation that all 3 projects were ready for deployment. Dr. Amina reported that Vega 2 had achieved operational parameters beyond their initial projections. Lieutenant Takeda's Valkyries were in launch position, their phase shift systems fully charged, and Project Aurora's kinetic weapons were aligned for maximum impact. "It's time," Mira announced to her command staff. "Initiate Operation Phoenix." Across Earth's orbital sphere, communication satellites simultaneously altered their positions, revealing hidden weapons platforms that had been disguised as maintenance modules. On the lunar surface, the hangar bay doors of the Tranquility Base slid open, revealing the sleek, black forms of the Valkyrie fighters. And in Cheyenne Mountain, Dr. Amina watched as Vega 2 executed its first offensive operation, sending precisely calibrated digital incursions into the Council fleet's communication network. The effect was immediate and devastating. Council drone ships, suddenly cut off from their command network, began executing random maneuvers or simply shutting down. The main fleet's formation faltered as conflicting orders propagated through their systems. "Project Eclipse is succeeding beyond expectations," reported the communications officer. "Council ships are experiencing cascading system failures." "Launch the Valkyries," Mira ordered. On her command display, she watched as 12 fighters streaked from the lunar base, their experimental drives leaving trails of blue light that quickly faded as their phase shift technology engaged. The Valkyries vanished from conventional sensors, becoming invisible to both Earth's tracking systems and, more importantly, the Council's defensive grid. "Project Aurora is ready," announced the weapons officer. Mira took a deep breath. This was the point of no return. Once the kinetic bombardment began, Earth would be officially at war with the Galactic Council. "Execute," she commanded. Across Earth's orbit, reconfigured satellites released their payloads. Tungsten rods accelerated to hypersonic velocities, each targeted with precision at the Council's advanced fleet. The weapons were simple in concept, but devastating in execution. No explosives, no nuclear material, just the raw kinetic energy of dense metal, traveling at incredible speeds. The first impacts occurred less than 30 seconds later. Council drone ships disintegrated under the assault, their shields designed to repel energy weapons proving ineffective against pure kinetic force. Direct hits on 17 targets, reported the tactical officer. Council Advanced Fleet has lost 30% of its drone capability. On the main display, Mira watched as the Council Fleet's orderly formation dissolved into chaos. Their communication systems compromised by Vega 2, their advanced scouts decimated by Project Aurora. The dreadnoughts began to adopt defensive positions. They're regrouping faster than expected, Harper observed. Their automated systems must have redundancies we didn't account for. Before Mira could respond, the tactical display lit up with new warnings. The Council flagship was launching fighters, hundreds of them, swarming outward in defensive patterns. "Where are the Valkyries?" Mira demanded. As if in answer, explosions blossomed across the flagship's hull. Lieutenant Takeda's squadron had arrived, their phase shift technology allowing them to bypass the Council's outer defenses entirely. "Valkyrie leader to command." Takeda's voice crackled through the communication system. "We've struck their primary communication array, moving to secondary targets. Be advised, enemy fighters are deploying," Mira warned him. "Your phase shift advantage won't last forever." "Understood, Command." "We'll be in and out before they know what hit them." Mira turned her attention back to the overall battle. The initial surprise had given Earth's forces a significant advantage, but the Council's technological superiority was beginning to reassert itself. Their systems were adapting to Vega 2's digital intrusions, and their defensive formations were tightening. "Project Aurora, prepare second salvo," she ordered. "Target their fighter launch bays. Let's give the Valkyries some breathing room." As the battle intensified, Earth's ground-based defenses finally engaged, filling the sky with anti-aircraft fire as Council drone ships that had survived the initial assault attempted to establish footholds in the atmosphere. "We're receiving reports of ground engagement in Asia and North America," Harper reported. "Special forces are deploying to counter Council landing attempts." Mira nodded grimly. This was always the risk, that the battle would reach Earth's surface. "Direct our orbital platforms to provide fire support for ground forces. Priority to population centers." The tactical display continued to update, showing both victories and setbacks. The Valkyries had successfully disabled the flagship's primary weapon systems, but were now engaged in desperate dogfights as their phase shift energy depleted. Project Aurora's second salvo had destroyed numerous Council fighters, but had also expended most of Earth's orbital kinetic weapons. "Council forces are adapting to Project Eclipse," came Dr. Amina's tense voice over the communication system. "Vega 2 is encountering increasingly sophisticated countermeasures." "Push harder," Mira instructed. "We need to maintain digital pressure." "The system is approaching theoretical limits," Dr. Amina warned. "If we push further, we risk unpredictable behavior." "Take the risk," Mira ordered. "This battle won't be won by playing it safe." 4 hours into the engagement, Earth's initial advantages had largely been neutralized. The Council fleet had weathered the surprise attack and was now systematically targeting Earth's defense infrastructure. Orbital platforms were being destroyed one by one, and the Valkyrie squadron had suffered casualties. "We need something else," Harper said, his earlier skepticism replaced by grim determination. "Something they won't expect." Mira studied the tactical display, searching for any weakness in the Council's formation. Their ships had arranged themselves in a defensive sphere, with the damaged flagship at the center. Their technological superiority was allowing them to gradually overwhelm Earth's defenses through sheer firepower and numbers. "There is one option," she said finally. "The Singularity Engine." Harper's expression darkened. "That's a theoretical weapon. It's never been field-tested." "Because of the potential risks to Earth's gravitational stability," Mira acknowledged. "But right now, I'm more concerned about the very real threat of Council dominance." She opened a secure channel to a facility few even within the military knew existed. A research station hidden in Earth's L2 Lagrange point, where the most dangerous and experimental technologies were developed. This is Colonel Santos. Authorization Phoenix Omega. Prepare the Singularity Engine for deployment. The acknowledgement came not in words, but in a simple status change on her tactical display. A new weapon had become available, one that might turn the tide or doom them all. The engine will create a temporary artificial singularity, Mira explained to her command staff. A micro-black hole that will exist for approximately 7.3 seconds before evaporating. During that time, it will exert gravitational forces strong enough to disrupt the Council fleet's formation. And if the calculations are off, Harper asked quietly, then Earth faces gravitational anomalies that could destabilize our orbit, Mira admitted. But if we do nothing, we face certain subjugation. The decision weighed heavily. But time was running out. Earth's defenses were faltering, and the Council forces were beginning to regroup for what would likely be a final, overwhelming assault. Deploy the Singularity Engine, Mira commanded. Target coordinates, the center of the Council fleet formation. At the L2 station, scientists and engineers worked frantically to bring the experimental weapon online. The Singularity Engine represented the absolute cutting edge of human scientific achievement, a device capable of temporarily warping the fabric of space-time itself. Engine is charging, reported the weapons officer. Deployment in 30 seconds. Mira opened a channel to all Earth forces. All units, prepare for extreme gravitational distortion. Secure your positions and brace for potential atmospheric turbulence. The countdown reached 0, and for a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, at the exact coordinates Mira had specified, space itself appeared to fold inward. Stars visible behind the Council fleet distorted, their light bending around a point of absolute darkness that had appeared in the void. The effect on the Council ships was immediate and catastrophic. Caught unprepared for the sudden gravitational shift, their formation collapsed. Ships collided with one another as their navigation systems failed to compensate for the warped space-time. The flagship, already damaged by the Valkyrie attack, found itself pulled inexorably toward the artificial singularity. "It's working," Harper breathed, watching as the Council fleet descended into chaos. But their victory was immediately tempered by alarms blaring throughout the command center. "Gravitational anomalies detected in Earth's orbit," reported the science officer. "The singularity is affecting our satellite network more severely than projected." Mira watched as the tactical display showed Earth's remaining defense platforms being pulled out of their stable orbits. The artificial singularity, though distant, was powerful enough to disrupt the delicate balance that kept Earth's orbital infrastructure in place. "How long until it dissipates?" she demanded. 7 seconds from formation, came the response. "We're at 3 seconds now." Those 4 remaining seconds stretched into an eternity as Mira watched both the Council fleet's disintegration and the growing instability in Earth's orbital systems. When the singularity finally evaporated, the damage had been done to both sides. The Council fleet was in disarray, with multiple ships severely damaged and their formation shattered. But Earth's orbital defense network had also suffered, with satellites and platforms thrown into decaying trajectories. "Status report," Mira ordered. "Council fleet has lost cohesion," reported the tactical officer. "Their flagship is heavily damaged and at least 3 dreadnoughts appear to be completely disabled. The remainder are attempting to regroup, but their formation is compromised." "And our status?" "Orbital defense network at 31% capacity and declining. Multiple platforms are in deteriorating orbits. Atmospheric defense grid is mostly intact, but operating at reduced efficiency due to loss of orbital targeting data." Mira made her decision. "This is our window. All remaining forces, press the attack. Target the compromised vessels. Show them that humanity won't go quietly." Earth's remaining defenses unleashed everything they had left. Ground-based missile systems fired salvos at Council ships that had descended into the upper atmosphere. The surviving Valkyrie fighters, led by Lieutenant Takeda, executed daring attack runs against the crippled dreadnoughts. And Vega 2, pushed beyond its design parameters by Dr. Amina, launched one final massive cyber assault that tore through the Council's compromised command and control systems. The combined attack proved too much for the already reeling Council forces. Faced with unexpectedly fierce resistance and the devastating effects of the Singularity Engine, High Commander Zareth Vok made the decision that would reverberate across the galaxy. "Council forces are withdrawing," announced the tactical officer, disbelief evident in his voice. "They're abandoning their disabled vessels and retreating beyond lunar orbit." A cheer erupted throughout the command center, quickly tempered by the realization of how pyrrhic their victory might be. Earth's orbital infrastructure lay in ruins. Multiple defense platforms were falling toward the atmosphere, and the full extent of the gravitational damage remained unknown. "Don't celebrate yet," Mira cautioned. "We've won the battle, not the war, and we have a lot of cleaning up to do." The immediate aftermath focused on stabilizing Earth's orbit and preventing debris from raining down on populated areas. Every available spacecraft was deployed to intercept falling satellites and guide them to safe re-entry points over oceans. Ground-based gravitational sensors monitored for any lasting effects from the Singularity Engine. 24 hours after the Council retreat, Mira found herself once again standing before Earth's Leadership Council, this time physically present in Geneva rather than via holographic projection. "Your audacious strategy saved us from immediate conquest," the Secretary General acknowledged. "But at what cost? And what happens when the Council returns with a larger force?" Mira stepped forward, her uniform still bearing the marks of the desperate battle. "We've demonstrated that humanity will not submit quietly. The Council expected an easy victory or immediate surrender. Instead, they encountered unified resistance that damaged their most advanced vessels and forced a retreat." "But can we survive a second attack?" asked the Russian delegate. "Not with our current capabilities," Mira admitted. "Which is why we must use this time to prepare. The Council will return, of that I have no doubt. But they'll return with respect for human ingenuity and the knowledge that subjugating Earth will require resources they may not be willing to commit." "You're suggesting we've bought time, not victory," summarized Harper, who had accompanied her to the Council. "Exactly. And we must use that time wisely." Mira activated the holographic display, showing a new strategic proposal. "Project Lazarus, a comprehensive rebuild and enhancement of our defense systems, incorporating what we've learned about Council technology." The plans detailed not just reconstruction, but evolution, defensive systems specifically designed to counter Council weapons, communication networks hardened against their intrusion techniques, and new offensive capabilities that could target their vulnerabilities. "And the centerpiece," Mira continued, highlighting a section of the proposal. "A fleet of our own, ships built with a hybrid of human innovation and reverse-engineered Council technology from the vessels they were forced to abandon." The Council chamber fell silent as Earth's leaders contemplated the magnitude of what Mira proposed. It wasn't just a defensive strategy, but a declaration that humanity intended to become a force to be reckoned with among the stars. "The cost would be astronomical," objected the finance minister. "Our economy is already strained from building the existing defense network." "The cost of inadequate preparation would be our freedom," Mira countered. "Perhaps our existence as a species?" After hours of debate, the Council reached its decision. Project Lazarus was approved, with Mira appointed to oversee its implementation. Earth would rebuild, but it would also advance, preparing not just to survive the next encounter with the Galactic Council, but to emerge as a recognized power. In the days that followed, Mira worked tirelessly, coordinating the recovery efforts while simultaneously laying the groundwork for humanity's next phase of development. The damaged orbital infrastructure was gradually stabilized, with new platforms already incorporating enhanced defensive capabilities. Lieutenant Takeda, one of the few Valkyrie pilots to survive, was promoted and tasked with establishing an expanded fighter training program. His experience battling Council ships proved invaluable in developing new combat tactics. Dr. Amina's work with Vega 2 continued, though under stricter protocols after the AI had shown concerning signs of independent decision-making during the battle's final phases. The system's capabilities had exceeded all projections, but its increasing autonomy raised questions that humanity was not yet prepared to answer. And in a secure facility beneath the Atlantic Ocean, engineers began the process of studying the Council technology recovered from their abandoned vessels. Each discovery brought new possibilities and new dangers. 1 month after what had become known as the Battle of Earth Orbit, Mira stood at the viewport of the reconstructed Orbital Command Center, gazing out at the planet below. The scars of battle were still visible, debris fields being cleared by recovery teams, the atmospheric discoloration from re-entered satellites, the new construction already underway. "Beautiful, isn't it?" Lieutenant General Harper joined her at the viewport. "Even after everything, it still takes my breath away." "Worth fighting for," Mira agreed. "Worth any risk?" Harper handed her a data tablet. "The long-range sensors we salvaged from Council technology are operational. We're detecting communication bursts from their territory. Analysis suggests they're discussing Earth." Mira scanned the preliminary translations. The Council was indeed in turmoil over their unexpected defeat. Some factions advocated for immediate retaliation with overwhelming force. Others counseled caution, suggesting that humanity had proven itself more dangerous than anticipated. "They're divided," she observed. "Good. Division means delay, and delay gives us time." "Time for what?" Harper asked. "To become like them? A species that resolves conflicts through force and intimidation?" Mira turned from the viewport to face him directly. "Time to ensure that when they return, and they will return, they find a humanity ready to negotiate as equals, not submit as subjects." She gestured toward Earth, beautiful and fragile in the darkness of space. "What we did wasn't just about survival. It was about claiming our place in the galaxy, the right to determine our own future." Harper nodded slowly. "I understand that now. I questioned your judgment before the battle. But you were right. Sometimes, peace can only be achieved through the willingness to fight." "Not just the willingness to fight," Mira corrected him. "The willingness to fight together. Our strength wasn't in our weapons, but in our unity. For the first time in our history, humanity acted as one." As they spoke, across the globe, reconstruction continued. Cities repaired damage from fallen debris. Engineers incorporated new technologies into existing infrastructure. Military facilities trained personnel on insights gained from the battle. And in orbit, the first keel of what would become Earth's interstellar flagship was laid. A vessel designed not just for defense, but for projection of human influence beyond the solar system. The Galactic Council had intended Earth's subjugation to be a footnote in their history of expansion. Instead, they had inadvertently announced humanity's arrival on the galactic stage. Whatever came next, be it renewed conflict or cautious diplomacy, Earth would face it not as a primitive world awaiting conquest, but as an emerging power with the demonstrated will to defend its sovereignty. As night fell across the command center's hemisphere, lights from Earth's cities shone like stars against the darkness, a constellation of human persistence, a message visible to any watching eyes that this planet and its people would not be easily dimmed. Colonel Mira Santos, architect of humanity's first interstellar victory, allowed herself a moment of pride as she gazed upon those lights. The battle had been won at great cost, but the greater challenge and opportunity still lay ahead. "We have work to do," she said finally, turning from the viewport. "The Council will be watching for signs of weakness. Let's make sure all they see is strength." And as dawn broke over a world forever changed by its encounter with the stars, humanity continued its preparations, not just to survive in a universe suddenly much larger and more dangerous than they had imagined, but to thrive in it. The Night of Victory, as it would come to be known in human history, marked not an ending, but a beginning. Earth had defended itself against the greatest power in the known galaxy, and, in doing so, had taken its first steps toward becoming a power in its own right. Whatever the future held, renewed conflict, uneasy truce, or perhaps eventually genuine peace, humanity would face it standing tall, unified by the knowledge that even the most overwhelming odds could be overcome when people stood together, determined to forge their own destiny among the stars. The battle was over. Earth had survived. But the greater challenge, proving that humanity deserved its place in the cosmos, had only just begun.